Juventus are clearing house. 3 of the club's top 5 earners all up for sale. First up, Dusan Vlahovic, the highest paid player in the Serie A. Yes, the highest paid player in the Serie A. At 25, the expectations were sky high, but in reality, miscontrolled passes, inconsistent finishing, and a technical ceiling that held Juve back. He earns more than double what Bremer earns. Yes, he earns more than double what Bremer earns and delivers half the impact. For both parties, it feels like the end of the road. Next, Douglas Luiz was supposed to be the engine in Juve's midfield, the V8 powering a title charge. But instead, he's looked more like a flashy sports car with no GPS. Lots of noise, no direction. This was the guy Premier League clubs fought for. Arsenal, City, United, even Newcastle had their hands up. But since arriving in Turin, Luiz has looked lost in translation. The ability's there, technical quality, physicality, flair, but tactically, he's been like a tourist with no map in the most tactical league on earth. Serie A demands chess moves. Douglas Luiz plays checkers. And here's the truth. He started just 3 Serie A games all season. Not trusted by Igor Tudor. Not trusted by Thiago Motta. 2 managers, same conclusion. And just when the fans thought it couldn't get worse, it did. Luiz, injured and unused, hadn't played a minute, yet still made the headlines. While Juventus were being dismantled 4-0 by Atalanta, he was out clubbing like he'd just sealed the title, not spent the entire season on the sidelines. No goals, no assists, no influence, but somehow, all eyes on him. To supporters, it came off as not just careless, but completely disconnected from what it means to wear the Juventus shirt. Juventus thought they signed the midfield general, but instead, they got a vibe merchant with more nightlife appearances than match contributions. And finally, Nico González, the coach's favourite, the club's 5th highest paid player. A hard worker, yes, but not a game changer. Lacking end product, no real threat in the final third. For a marquee attacker, that's just not good enough. He runs, he presses, but when you're signed to win games, simply working hard isn't enough. 3 big names, 3 massive wages, and now Juventus are ready to cash in and finally bring in players who can earn their stripes in black and white. Juventus are hosting a car boot sale. Bring the cash. Bring the cash. For everything, if you're new, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe. Let's keep this channel growing. We are a Juventus family. 3 players have been reported up for sale. Dušan Vlahović. We always knew Dusan Vlahovic was up for sale. Okay. Nico González. Very, very, very surprising. But don't get me wrong. I have no issue with it whatsoever. And thirdly, Douglas Luiz. I'm 50-50 on that one. So you know what? Let's put Dušan Vlahović third because I've spoken on Dušan Vlahović so many times on this channel this season. Let's start off with Douglas Luiz. I think he is one asset. If Juventus were actually to put him up for sale, I think clubs across Europe will come in for his signature. Douglas Luiz is still a good player in a lot of people's eyes across Europe. I think every sporting director, every coach, teammates across the world, everybody's looking at Douglas Luiz and saying, this is a guy that should have performed far better than he's performed in the Juventus shirt. This is a guy that has so much more to offer, so much more to contribute. Like, Douglas Luiz was regarded as one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. Now, why do I feel like it hasn't worked out? In my opinion, Serie A, Premier League, 2 completely different leagues. I feel like the Serie A is more tactical. You need to understand your position. Premier League is so chaotic. Like, I've grown up on the Premier League. The Premier League is like basketball. Left, right, left, right, left, right. There's a reason why in the Premier League, the more physical of players shine. In the Serie A, I don't feel it's like that. I feel like with the Serie A, it's more the smarter players. The players that know where to be in the right place at the right time. But most importantly, on a consistent of basis. And that's why when you look at the Serie A, you wouldn't say it's a physical league at all. Premier League, physical league, end to end. Douglas Luiz shined, and I'll be honest with you guys, he was actually regarded as one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. Like, he was a player in demand. Imagine Pep Guardiola wanted him at Manchester City. What does that tell you? He's come to Juventus and it hasn't worked out. But this is why I'm so 50-50 on it, because I know how good Douglas Luiz is, but at the same time, it's only fair I judge him the same way I judge all players across the world. You are the highest paid midfielder at Juventus. You were the marquee signing in the summer. You were a guy where once you were signed, everybody looked at you and said, you are going to elevate this team. Because let's be real, when you pay a premium price for a player, when you give them the highest amount of wages for a midfielder in your club, there's expectations. And we can never ever run away from that. If you cost a lot of money and you earn a lot of wages, you have to accept there's demands, there's standards, and there's expectations that you have to step up to. With Douglas Luiz, Oh, I feel like it's been catastrophic. I feel like it's been a car crash. I feel like it's been a disaster. Whenever he's played, wrong place, wrong time, nonchalant, like Juventus are losing. This guy's going for flicks and tricks in the centre of the park. And then when he loses the ball, he doesn't have that endurance. He doesn't have that running power to get back and win the ball back. Like, even at times, I've been sat watching him and I'm like, what is going on with this guy? But he's such a talented player. But I feel like now Juventus are looking at him and saying, it's one of the two. Either we take the gamble and we go into next season and make him an integral piece of this project and maybe try and force him into the starting 11. Maybe tell Igor Tudor, because clubs do this across the world. I feel like it's one of those secrets that nobody exposes to the world, but we all know it. Sometimes board members have an influence on the starting 11 and they will tell a coach, listen, I've paid X amount of money for this guy, so you better find a way to integrate him into the team. We pay this player X amount of money, so you better find a way to integrate him into this team. And I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Juventus look at it and say, this is an asset that's depreciating in price because he's just sat on the bench. You need to find a way to make it work. But then does it come at the cost of the team? Because if he doesn't perform, it feels like he's only starting because of the influence of board members. These stuff happen when players cost a lot of money. But for me, he's actually a talented player. But I feel like Juventus are looking at it and saying, do we take the gamble and go into next season and hope and pray that he steps up and delivers the goods? Or it might go the opposite direction where he's 10 times worse. And now a player that we could potentially get 40, 45 million pounds for this summer, next summer will be going for 20, 25, 30. That's the gamble that Juventus currently have. And I feel like they've got their eyes on other midfielders. So they're thinking, you know what? Let's just take the 40, 45 million from Douglas Luiz. He's in demand. And let's just use that money on somebody else that's probably better scouted, that probably suits the Serie A more, that suits this team more. Like a profile that we need more than Douglas Luiz. But for me, I will forever be of the opinion Douglas Luiz is a good player. But I just think it's like wrong player, wrong club, right player, wrong league, right club, wrong player. Like whichever sequence you want, okay? But he is a good player. But I'll be honest, if the money is there and Juventus can recoup the majority of the money that they've spent on him, I would let him go. And I'll be honest with you guys, even the whole injury record, like in 6 years at Aston Villa, he missed 5 games because of injury. In one campaign at Juventus, he's missed over 20 matches. What does that tell you either about Douglas Luiz or J Medical? Because somebody is to blame. Now, fair enough, we can blame J Medical and say maybe they're not really detecting the injuries before they materialize into something. Or, and this is something that I've read on a player like Ousmane Dembele, where when he started off his career, he had so many injuries. And everybody turned around and said, this guy's injury prone. He's always injured. He can't play 2 matches in a row. Ousmane Dembele, for the past 2-3 campaigns, has been playing game after game after game. And he's even come out and done an interview where he said, listen, I used to always blame the medical department. I used to blame the doctors and be like, you guys don't understand my body. But in reality, sometimes it's the small things that play a part between a player getting injured or not. And you guys will not believe me, but sports science, it's a very broad subject. It could be things like the time you sleep and the time you wake up. It could be things like the food you eat, the time that you eat them. Like everybody's body is different. And I feel like the best of players, as they get older, they begin to understand their body. They know what they can eat, what they can't eat, what they can eat a majority amount of, and what they can't eat, what they need to avoid, what they need to cut out. All of these things. And Dembele came out and said, I changed up my diet. I started training at different times during the day. I would have double, sometimes triple training sessions because my body needed it more than other players. And that's why sometimes I do look at Douglas Luiz and say, back to back injuries. Like, couldn't you have done a bit more? I don't know. Maybe this is just me thinking out loud. But him, he's up for sale. Next, we said Dusan Vlahovic will be at the end. Nico González. Bro, I've got no complaints. Listen, as a player, kudos to him. He is actually a hard worker. He's a hard worker in a camp where sometimes I could turn around and say a lot of these Juventus players don't care. They don't show you that fight, that grinta on the pitch. He works hard. He runs minute 1 to minute 90. Okay? But I'm going to be so real with you guys. I'm not talking about a team fighting relegation where I'm saying all they need is fight, passion and hunger. When you're playing for a top team that I've grown up watching them compete for titles, win titles, dominate in Italy, working hard is not enough. I'm going to be real with you guys. Working hard is not enough. We need more. Okay? And as an attacking player, you're required to work hard. Yeah, I feel like working hard should be applied to every player on the pitch. So I'm not even going to use it as a point of reference, as a point of praise. Working hard should be the bare minimum. But as an attacking player, as a marquee signing, as a player that earns, I believe he's in the top 5 earners at Juventus. Brother, I need some X factor in the final third. Whether that X factor is you having the ability to create opportunities out of nothing, he can't do that. Whether the X factor is you scoring a goal out of nothing, he can't do that. Okay, cool. What about if we were to create opportunities for you? Can you score them? He can't do that. He's on 3 league goals. He's missed more than he's scored. I'm just not impressed with the guy. And I'm going to be so real. When I saw the rumours last year of Juventus, Fiorentina, Nico González, I was like, stay away. He's good. He's good for Fiorentina. He's not good for Juventus. He's not cut out for it. And I feel like he's the one guy that's actually been given a decent chance by Tudor, by Motta. Fair enough, Motta played him out of position. But the one thing that I am strongly of the opinion of, you could still be played in the wrong position, but showcase that technical quality, showcase the ability to impact the game. I don't look at football and tell myself, just because he's in the wrong position, it means he can't control a ball. Just because he's in the wrong position, he can't make a forward pass. Just because he's in the wrong position, he can't scan the pitch and spot oncoming runners. No. You could literally get a player, put them as a goalkeeper. They'll still be able to know how to pass a ball. With him, being on the left-hand side, he hasn't been good. I'll be honest, he hasn't been good. Then you put him on the right-hand side, at times he was a wing-back, at times he was that twin 10, Roman number 10 in Tudor's 3-4-2-1. Listen, I don't know why I'm trying to beat around the bush and sugarcoat it. He's not good. He's just not good. I would let him go. I'll be honest with you guys. But of course, if he did stay, I would never ever look at him and say twin 10, him and Kenan and a number 9. I would always look at him and say wing back. You can compete with Alberto Costa, because I look at him and say a lot of his strengths lie off the ball. In the final third, I want players whose strengths are on the ball. When it comes to defenders, wing backs, I want your strengths to be off the ball. Nico González. And then thirdly, let's keep it short and sweet. Dušan Vlahovic is being reported Milan and Fenerbahçe both want him. Juventus, as far as I know, I'm not too sure if the offer is still on the table of a 7 million net per year. Fenerbahçe have offered him 10 million, but you could clearly see his desire is to stay playing in European football in the top 5 league. Allegri wants him, and I've said this before. I feel like this is a deal that gets done. It really, really, really does. Allegri wants him. Milan want him. I feel like they'll pay Juventus what they want, and Juventus, I feel like, have reached a stage where they're more than happy and desperate to let him go, because the funds that they generate from him, and especially in terms of knocking him off the wage bill, it will open the door to so many other signings. So sometimes, for the greater good, you take that one sacrifice, because then it will open the door to so many different pathways. And the fact that he's the highest earner at Juventus by a country mile, he's the highest earning player in the Serie A by a country mile, just take the hit in terms of the price, because once you knock off those wages, it opens the door for you to be able to have that freedom in negotiations. Like, I'll be honest with you guys, you could actually go and get 2-3 players for the amount of wages that he's getting paid. Now, my opinion on Dusan Vlahovic still does not change. I still feel like he has a lot to offer. He's 25, but it's just reached that period where he needs out of Juventus. Juventus need him out. He needs a fresh start elsewhere. Juventus need a fresh number 9, somebody that brings a different dimension to their attack. I think it's like, it hasn't really ended the way I would have wanted it to end, but let's just say football is cruel sometimes, bro. Life is cruel sometimes, yeah? You got to take it on the chin. He is leaving. I think if Juventus get 30 million, they'll be more than happy. But those are the 3 players that are reported to be leaving Juventus. Now, I don't really have an issue with any of them, I'll be honest with you. Like, Douglas Luiz is open to debate. Nico González, for me, is not open to debate. Dusan Vlahovic, even if it was open to debate, it's not in my hands. He's going, okay? So, 3 players, I feel like it makes sense from Juventus' perspective to let them go and take a gamble on 3 other players. Now, if you're new, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and I will catch you guys on another one.